and I'm a big guy too, by the way. And he was actually scared, but you got all these guys with guns. So I get out there and I tell my brother and I we go back to our place. It's very nice, and I'm very relieved. And the cop that was with us was like, "That's no good, in our culture, the woman does not cheat on the man, or especially the man, him. What about him?" And I said, I go, and my brother's very ornery. He's like, "So what would you do? What could you do for money?" And he goes, "Well, we'll take him when they land in Rome to go back to USA. We'll plant drugs on him, and he'll be in prison in Italy forever." And I was like, "Oh, but no, see that will work because then I would go back with her if that guy said." And then my brother's like, "What would you do for $10,000?" And so when they landed, because I said, "Don't touch Roseanne," but we have pictures of this too. When they went from Sardinia to Rome to fly back, um, 8 cops came down and just tackled him. And they did the full cavity search to whatever. They missed their flight, pulled all their shit out. They had a huge argument, which, and I thought, well, that's something. Because, you got to, that's something, he is sleeping with my wife. So that's something. And, he worked at a donut shop when I met, but I was very happy for them. They had a kid that Roseanne told me later is a big Tom Arnold fan. So and I think I met him at her roast, the only other time I've seen her since 1994, except in court. So yeah, so I thought, well, I've done my
Did
that's good.
did she know that that was you behind this whole tackle in the
Probably,
airport?
yeah, I'm sure she does. I'm sure she
And
does.
you think you might have kept going back like off and on if there wasn't this bodyguard
We
guy?
broke up the first filing that just accused me of abusing her and all this crazy shit, and then she had to go public and say, it's just not true. Like and then people are like, what is?" And uh, then I went to had this scene in Sardinia and Rome, and then True Lies came out in July of 1994, and she called me and says, "I really feel like I'm a part of that. Um, I think we should get back together." And I did feel like, listen, man, she's helped me so much. I mean, she didn't get me the audition or whatever for True Lies, but she has certainly helped me in many, many ways. And now she was asking me to help her. And I said, I'll tell you, let's meet at our therapist and see if we can be friends first. And she'd done a lot of very shitty things to me. Like she tried to end my career. You know, she just went so far out of her way to do shitty stuff. And even in True Lies, I have a line about oh, about my ex-wife. Taking all the ice cube trays out of the freezer? What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice cube trays out of the freezer? But it was little things like that constantly, just messing with me, messing with but I said, let's go down and see if we can be friends. And the therapist said, you have to apologize to Tom because of this or whatever. She goes, it's just too much. And that was really the last time that we, really saw each other. And and always made it clear that I appreciate her. And, there comes a certain point when people are fucking with you and putting you down and doing where the appreciation you have, you're grateful for things, but then the other part of them is becomes greater than their good deeds, and that's really something that happened. I tried to reasonably do the high road, you know, but I'm not. I've certainly made some mistakes myself.
What's like the sickest thing she did to you? Like as you said, she took ice cube trays out of the freezer.
Well, no, that was we were filming. That really happened. She would send people into the house. We were separated. We're filming True Lies, filming True Lies, and they'd steal all the remote controls out of all the fucking TV remote control, the batteries. They'd steal all of them throughout the whole house. And I'd get home from work and be like, what the fuck? This cat, are you fucking shitting me? But Arnold Schwarzenegger and I were doing this health shake thing. And, you know, right before we started the movie, James Cameron's like, hey, do you want to work out with Arnold Schwarzenegger? And I'm like, yeah, I think I would like to work out with the greatest bodybuilder that ever lived. He's like, I'm sending him to your house. I go, oh shit. So he came over the first day, and I opened the door, and I see him standing there. I'm like, shit, Arnold, I forgot you were coming. Everyone I've ever met is here. Guys, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's working out with me in my unused home gym. So we did it. And then that night, Jim Cameron called and said, what time should he be back tomorrow? Because, you know, he's trying to bond us up. I said, he should not come back tomorrow. And he says, why? I go, well, number one, I could say that I worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger because we did it. But it's too much pressure because he does this thing. He is so good at working out and the body and knowing what's what. He, more than anyone in the world, he really is about fitness and this and that. He's the guy. And he does this thing where he looks at you and has to compliment one part of your body. And then he's like, you know, Tom, you have fantastic left shin. And then he starts in on your trouble spots. I got a lot of fucking trouble spots, dude. I don't need to hear it from him. And so the whole movie, after our trailers were beside each other, then the other side of Arnold's trailer was a semi-truck that was retrofitted into a gym. And when we filmed in LA, there was a Ben and Jerry's about the same distance from my trailer. So every night after work, we'd say goodbye. I'd go to Ben and Jerry's. He'd go work out in the gym. But I did start a shake thing with him where we took, you know, you had to have hundreds of ice cubes. You had to have one in the morning, you had to blend two, put them in these kind of frozen things and thermos, these big supersized thermos, and bring them to work. There was vegetables, fruit, some kind of powder. And I had, an ice machine wouldn't be enough. And so I had maybe 40 ice cube trays in the freezer. So I'd come in every morning, bam, 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 and I walked in one morning and they were gone. And I was like, oh, that's what they did to me last night. That's the shit. And I was so pissed off. And and when I got to the set, I said to Cameron and Arnold, I go, what the fuck? You won't believe it. What kind of a sick bitch takes the fucking ice cube trays out of the freezer? And then Jim Cameron's like, say that today in this scene with Arnold on the street here. But it was very real. Very real. Who thinks of stuff like that? That little weird stuff. You know, I think big. I think macro. I'm going to burn your house down. That's how I think. But no.
Taking all the batteries out of remotes that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it is. But also, not only that, I knew they were out at a certain point. I still tried to make the remote work. Like, God damn it! What if there's this? But
like,
you know,
it drives you crazy, right? Like you're home, you're ready to relax.
Yeah.
What about, look, you've gone on, like you said, you've been in so many movies and so many TV shows. So, I mean, like you said, like you've earned your own career, but I think like back then, like I remember, like there was this perception like, oh, Roseanne like handed you a career, which like is that like, do you think?
It's true, Bo. It's true. You know, I was 23 when I met Roseanne and she was 30 and she was, she's always was ahead of me in a career. I never felt like, because I remember people writing or asking, does it feel weird that your wife is so successful? And I was like, no, it feels great. It feels great to have a wife that makes $1 million a week. I wish I had that today. And she also was a little older than me and it started before me, but there was never any, and I never understand how this happens in a real relationship where that people let that competition. Now, it's good to have some competition.